Mic'd up.
Highlights from Lowlifes. Highlights from Lowlifes.
Good evening.
Somebody say something.
Well, you told me to host, and then you tried to host.
No, I didn't. I was watching you with the mug in your face, and I go, uh-oh.
Where's the clapboard? Take two.
Oh, well, as always, it's a professional show here at the Highlights from Lowlifes program. We're glad you're back with us. We have a very interesting topic tonight, but a quick backstory. Some of you guys can probably already repeat this back to us, but we are a group of guys that have played men's adult league baseball together for quite some time. During the pandemic, we did like so many people did and jumped on a bunch of Zoom calls and had happy hours together, just to keep each other's spirits up, stay in touch with each other, and it evolved into conversations about our top 5 things, usually around sports, with us being baseball guys, and that evolved into a thing that Mike Up heard about, and they said, "Wow, that would make a wonderful program for us to include on our network." And so that is where we are. That is how we got here. Tonight, I'm joined by Rob Weber. Are you going to acknowledge your fans, or there we go?
Hello, fan.
Tiger Terry Lee.
Hi, everybody.
And of course, Mr. Clip-On Marty Brown.
Yes, I am back.
So our topic tonight is interesting. It's the top 5 players with all the talent, a Hall of Fame level talent, but did not pan out in their major league careers. It's easy to misunderstand the topic, and I think some people might, and that's okay. No, there are no wrong answers, because look at the 4 of us. We could never be right. So, top 5 guys with Hall of Fame level talent that just never put it together in the major league. Should be fun. So, Tiger, why don't you start us off?
All right, I will start this off. Here's an odd one. This was a player back in 1920.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wow.
And he had a great career going until, let's see, let me read his stats to you. He played for the Indians. He's a shortstop. He, sorry, I'm slowly warming up. The gift of gab has not kicked in yet.
We got a time limit on the show. There's a time limit here.
This is in the days. This was in the 20s. No helmets. Nobody wore a helmet at the time. Ray Chapman got beamed in the head by Yankees pitcher Carl Mays. And it killed him.
That'll
Not sure that deserves a chuckle.
He's the only baseball player to ever get killed in a baseball game. Let's have his stats right here. Sort of.
As he's looking up in the sky.
I thought I had it all set up. Anyway, Carl Mays killed
the ceiling.
Ray Chapman. Yes, and that pretty much killed his career.
Mm-hmm.
Webby.
All right. For those of you who follow us, the Mic'd Up page on LinkedIn, I gave you a little bit of clues as to who I might be choosing. I had a picture of a couple of mid-1980s New York Mets. And the one I'm going to start off with is Dwight Gooden. This guy came on the scene in 84 and 85. In those 2 seasons, he was 41 and 13. He struck out 276 his rookie year, 268 his second year. He was gonna be a stud. He had 4 more solid years with the Mets, but it was slowly getting a little bit of tire on the tread was going away, and um, his fastball wasn't as fast anymore, and the the bright lights in New York started to bring in the wrong people, and Dwight got into drugs and alcohol, and his career went downhill pretty fast, and then he bounced around in big leagues until 2000. What could have been? Um, I mean, he was a supreme talent. Um, he'll never get into the Hall of Fame uh, because I think what you would say is his career was 2 careers, one of greatness and then one of mediocrity at the end.
Right.
But he had the talent to be one of the greatest pitchers ever, and kind of threw it away. So that's my number 5 pick, Dwight.
Yeah, he was way too chummy with Daryl Strawberry.
Who we'll get to later in this
Yeah.
show.
So,
Well, this is-
I think he might be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, what do you got?
Well, I thought, how can I immediately break Rob Weber's heart? And I figured it out. Let's go with a Cub.
Oh, yes.
Kind of a 4.5, almost a 5-tool player. A guy came out of nowhere, had a good, solid minor league career, came out of nowhere, made the starting lineup for the Cubs as their everyday center fielder in 1989. And he ended up winning Rookie of the Year for the Cubs, and he was the first Cub to do that since 1962. He hit 293, 24 stolen bases, was starting to show some power at the end of that first season. He could field, he could throw. He was just really looked like an all-around player. He was having a breakout rookie year, and a lot of great things were going to come. And then nothing. He just kind of vanished. He played with the Cubs for 3 or 4 more years, but he became a very average player, and that's Jerome Walton. He burst on the scene. He's one of the reasons they made the playoffs against the Giants, the National League Championship that year. He was an outstanding player. He seemed like a really good guy. The fans loved him. And then he literally just fell off the map. I think he went on to play a few games with the Devil Rays and the Orioles and bounced around because everybody knew he had the talent. But he's literally one of those guys that had all the talent in the world and couldn't put it together. Whatever happened, he wasn't injured. He wasn't a guy that suffered injuries. He wasn't a guy that had dealt with alcohol or drugs. It just had 1 year, and that was all he had in him.
So Robbie, I remember that time period, and the word around the league was they found his weakness, and once they know what your weakness is, it gets around. Everybody shares
Right.
it with everybody else, and if you don't adjust, you're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a classic case of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, once they get the book on you.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, Marty?
I'm going with Dennis Boyd. Doesn't mean anything to you, but let's try his nickname. How about Oil Can Boyd?
Yep.
He was a pitcher for the Red Sox. His memorable nickname is reported coming from his beer drinking days in his hometown in Mississippi, where beer is referred to as oil. So I'm lubricating. So thank you. Came up with the Red Sox in 82. In 83 through 85, he won 31 games for Boston and was in the All-Star game in 1985. So what went wrong with this guy? He was the Red Sox pitcher of the year that year. I'm just going to read this paragraph, and it kind of sums it all up. In 1986, the Red Sox were in the World Series against the Mets. Oil Can Boyd was scheduled to pitch Game 7. There was a rainout, and the manager, John McNamara, reconsidered his pitching lineup and went with Bruce Hurst. After Boyd received word he was not starting the final game of the series, he went down to the clubhouse and remained there alone for some time. McNamara dispatched pitching coach Bill Fisher to find Boyd, and Fisher discovered that Boyd had consumed great deal of alcohol and was in no condition to function, nonetheless play. Fisher, the coach who found him, locked him in the manager's office and left him there for the duration of the game. Well, how do you ruin a career in one night? Well, I think he found out. He admitted years later that he was used crack every day of the 86 season and was high on marijuana in every game he played from Little League through college. There you go. Had the talent, didn't make it. He did, however, in the spirit of the Negro Leagues, back in 2007, ran a barnstorming tour, call it Oil Can Boyd's Traveling All-Stars. So I thought that was a little insightful after the fact.
Yep.
But so my pick is Oil Can Lubricating Boyd.
You remember the All-Star game that year? He had a meltdown too when he didn't get selected for the All-Star team,
Yeah.
and had a tailspin in mid-season in his performance before he picked it back up.
Yep.
Wow. All right, that's a good round.
Yeah, that was good. It's insightful already. I think we got a lot of good things on tap too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let's just keep the flow going.
All right. Let's go to Webby to start round 4.
All right. Well, I promised you that I would come back with our friend Mr. Strawberry. Another guy who burst on the scene in '83 and was a dominating power hitter, speedster. I mean, he stole anywhere between 19 and 29 bases I'm sorry, 36 bases for 7 years in a row. Drove in hundreds of runs each year. Just a heart of the order guy who was on pace to compete with the Hank Aaron's and the Willie Mays of the world. And then again, the bright lights of New York shined upon him. He got into the drugs, he got into the alcohol, and then became a nomad, bouncing to the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Yankees, filling out the last 7 or 8 years of his career as a bench player who couldn't be counted on to be there each day, and was suspended many times and disciplined many times, and went to rehab many times, and it never took. So he was out of baseball by 1999. What could have been with that guy? I mean, he had this beautiful long swing for a very tall guy who just roped these homers over the right field wall. It's very interesting that his career took place virtually the same time as Doc Gooden's, and they were out of baseball within a year of each other. So he's a guy that should have been a Hall of Famer, but didn't play well enough, long enough to do so. So he's my number 4. Hey, Terry, have you had a chance to put your notes together? And
I might think so, but you might not. All right, my number 4. This guy, this was a Brooklyn Dodger back in 19. Well, he was in the major leagues from 31 to 45. So 5-time All-Star. He was the RBI champ in 45. He was a National League batting champ in 1944. He man, he's just All right, he's a douche. Do I get red flagged for that?
I would. If I said it, I would.
Yeah, well, that's you.
Hey!
Yeah, clip on tie. Come on.
It is not.
All right, this is his thing. He suggested he would not play for the Dodgers if a black baseball player were permitted on the team. He reportedly initiated a player petition within the Dodgers in 1947, opposing Jackie Robinson joining the team. And he wrote a letter to the Dodgers owner, Branch Rickey, at the time, asking to be traded. Well, he did. Word got out, and he was gone, and his career was over. Don't be a douche.
Words to live by.
I mean, there's certainly no room for it nowadays, but back then, obviously, well, on his behalf, he said this is Fred Dixie Walker. He said on his behalf, a very popular player, a charming fellow. And then he prepared that petition saying, if you promote a black man, Robinson, we will not play. Yeah, well, that was it for him.
Good.
He was okay with the talent and all that. He just couldn't deal with the skin color. Robbie, number
All right.
4.
Similar to my first pick, this guy burst onto the scene in 1977, and he was all the rage. Nope.
Page?
Nobody.
Mitchell Page.
Mitchell Page. Yep.
Yeah.
Mitchell Page. He was 25 years old. The A's had just cleaned house and had a team of young kids and a couple of hand-me-down veterans and patched together a team that was actually pretty decent, and particularly in the first half of the season. And this guy was a main part of it. Mitchell Page took over left field. He won Player of the Week in just the second week of the season. Basically, his second week in the majors, he was Player of the Week. He had an 8-game hitting streak right out of the gate, hitting 500 during the A's started 7-1, and Page hit 500 during that time. He got a second Player of the Week later in the year. He ended up the season with 21 homers, 75 RBIs, and 42 stolen bases. He's only the second player in Major League history to be a rookie and have finished the season with more than 20 homers and more than 40 stolen bases. In that, he stole 26 consecutive bases, making him a record holder that still stands in the American League. The guy was amazing. For you stat geeks, he had a 6.1 WAR, the wins above replacement stat that many of us either don't understand or don't like. But that placed him ahead of Rod Carew, George Brett, and Carlton Fisk that year. He was Sporting News' Rookie of the Year, and he was second behind Eddie Murray, Hall of Famer, for Rookie of the Year for the American League. Absolutely stunning what he did. The next year, he dropped off a little bit to 285 with 17 home runs and 70 RBI. Pretty respectable. But then something happened, and that was the end of Mitchell Page. Again, and probably they learned the weakness. He doesn't make the adjustment, and that was that. But he fell off dramatically and just vanished. Just another guy that came onto the scene, led a young team pretty far, way further than they should have been going that year, the 77 A's, and then just gone, poof, just like that.
Yep.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Webby, I think that leaves it to you.
No, I think that leaves it to me.
The same thing.
That thing. Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get you guys confused. It's the glasses.
I just thought it was he both lack of hair, but he has the decency to wear a hat. But okay, how does this guy not get into the Hall of Fame with the stats of being a 6-time All-Star, a 3-time World Series champion, an American League MVP, and a Cy Young Award winner? I really wanted to bring this guy up before anybody else did, because we all have, since his playing days, have met him and known to him and cherished him, and that's Vida Blue. how the man came out of the gate with the A's in '69 and '71 in a firestorm.
Don't say Firestorm.
Don't say firestorm. Oh, we're not talking about LA. Oh, jeepers. 73, 1970. That's some stats from the A's glory days of the '70s.
Don't say
20
Florida.
and 20 and 9 and '73, 17 and 15 and '74, 22 and 11 and '75. He's the only at the first time he was the only one. There's been others since then to pitch in the All-Star game for both the American and National Leagues. The list of the other people done it are pretty good. Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, Roy Halladay, and Max Scherzer. So that's put him right up in the list with other guys that are in the Hall of Fame. In his career from 69 to 86, 17 years. Now he was with the A's a couple of times, with the Giants, and the downfall I think was in Kansas City. He went to prison for cocaine. Most of these guys now, you hear cocaine or they go to get rehab or something. Unfortunately, he went to prison and faced multiple DUIs afterwards. And we've let everybody take their time now to share stories about him. But I had a chance to meet him at a gathering years later, and is the most affable, kind. I wanted to hear all your stories, and he'll talk to you right back. He would talk all day, and I know you guys knew him better. But there was something I would be amiss if he wasn't on my list of at least the talent for the Hall of Fame. He should have. Well, he can, but I wish the league had treated him better for the man that he was. So
Well
there you go.
said.
Yeah, he's a great guy
Yeah.
Yep.
and friend.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
2 rounds. Something exciting usually happens at this point, doesn't it?
my favorite part of the show.
Oh, well, that sounds exciting.
It's a segment
Tell me
we
more.
like to call. It's a segment we like to call "What You Drinking." The highlights from Lowlife Show is very proud, probably a little stunned that we are sponsored by our friends at Almanac Brewing.
Continue to be
Continue to be stunned
I'm
too
stunned,
that they
yeah.
continue to do it. I mean, just watch the introduction tonight. What a garbage program. But anyway, Almanac has been great as a partner for us. We love their beers, and not just because we sponsor them. They are one of America's best craft brewers. They're amazing. The beers are fantastic. They've got some barrel aged stuff. They've got refreshing, easy to drink beers. They've got IPAs. We all they're kind enough to supply us some beer, and we all take turns drinking different things and talk about them briefly. And I'm back on the Hugs Hefeweizen tonight from Almanac.
Cool.
This is a real great German style Hefe. Oh, look at that. So is Terry.
Me
It's a
too.
great German style Hefeweizen. A lot of the American ones get really cloudy and feel really heavy and everything, and the Germans do it right, and they make it crisp and refreshing and a lot of good flavor that you would normally find in a Hefeweizen. It's all there without that heavy, cloudy feeling that you get from some of the American Hefeweizen. So I love this beer and really enjoying it tonight. Terry, you want to comment as well?
Well, no.
Let me get my notes out. I'll be back in half an hour.
Almanac Hugs Hefeweizen. Savor the taste of German tradition with every sip of this liquid smile.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
I had to put my glasses on. That's why I had to stop for a second.
What are you other two mooks drinking?
Every once in a while with this bunch, we kind of rip on each other, and you have to have a thick skin. So instead of taking one, I'm going to give it tonight. But say, Rob, what's the name of this thing again?
Zapffer.
There it is. That's what I got. Zapffer.
I am I'm
Go ahead.
drinking the Bunny Hill IPA, and I'm gonna do like Terry. I'm gonna read the can because
Because you have
this,
glasses on.
this is information here. This is poetry. This is what it says. Baby, it's hella cold outside. Bunny Hill Hazy IPA has a pillowy, soft mouthfeel like freshly fallen snow. This velvet
Baby.
liquid snowflake is dry hopped with an avalanche of cashmere and Simcoe, creating notes of citrus zest and ripe melon. Drink your
Wow.
Bunny Hill IPA.
Baby, it's cashmere outside.
That's just damn poetry shit.
Thank you, Almanac. We love it.
This might be our final show with Almanac. Anyway, they
We
are
love it.
outstanding. Almanac Brewing, Alameda, California. Stop by the brewery. They are well worth going out of your way to go visit. The facility is amazing. There's a lot. They have a lot to offer. There's lots of food options, and the beers are just outstanding. And they're great people too. So you may as well try one of America's best beers at the source. There's nothing like it. Almanac Brewing, Alameda, California. Stop by there, tell them you heard about them from the Highlights from Lowlife show, and they may take pity upon you.
Give it a try. You'll like it.
Yeah. All right, let's get back into the. I guess we're in round 3 now.
Yeah. Terry, start round 3.
Number 3. Well, this player, we had the we got to watch him play. He's a shortstop. He's great. He had it all. He had 2,877 hits, 80 homers. Let's see, his average is 272. It's pretty good for a shortstop. 11-time Gold Glove winner. He look at he was second to Ozzie Smith in his day. He was accused in 2019 of sexual harassment. I'm talking about Omar Vizquel. What a fun player to watch.
He was.
And then domestic violence also. This Robbie, you'll love this. His popularity is lower than Rabbit Moranville. Omar Vizquel. He kind of blew it, and there's probably no way he's going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Well, he's on the ballot this year.
He's on the ballot.
So it'll be interesting to see how many votes he gets. So
yep, it says in the process of updating his profile for the 2021 ballot and so forth. Omar Vizquel, come on, guy, just keep it to yourself. Marty, how about you?
Number
3.
Number 3. When this guy was coming out of college in the late 80s, he had superstar written all over him, and he came out of Mississippi State with Rafael Palmeiro, four-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner, two-time Silver Slugger. In just 2 years in the major leagues, he was the runner-up in the batting title to Tony Gwynn in 1988. He bounced around and went. Hold on one second. Where'd it go? The Cubs, Rangers, Baltimore, Texas, and back in Baltimore again for 20 years. There was in 1995. He had 38 home runs continuously from 2003. Starting in 95, he had a streak of 38 plus home runs every year to 2003. 8 years. This guy was a slugger. This guy could pound the ball. and he got caught up, of course, in the roids, and he was in a number of reports. He was in Canseco's book that listed Palmero. He denied it over and over, even to Congress. But I guess whether it's true or not, if you get guilt by association with some of the other guys that may be coming up later on tonight, that got caught up in that, he was out, and had the statistics to fit in with any number of sluggers, and for many teams and for many years. And the cases, I really don't know. Was he guilty? Should he be thrown out, or it just got caught up with the wrong people at the wrong time? It's in a way, it's a kind of a sad case. So
I
suit
got
yourself.
a little
Go ahead.
update for you. So the Cubs, they disowned it. They said, you haven't taken any responsibility for what you've done. Apparently, the evidence was pretty overwhelming,
Okay.
and he disappeared. But this year, he came out and apologized and provided regrets for some of the decisions that he made. And he was invited back on the Cubs caravan tour in the off season for the first time since he retired. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, so there may be a silver lining for him. I don't think he'll ever get in the Hall of Fame, but at least he can be back with the fans again. So
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was on that same Mississippi station with Jack Clark, I think, or Will Clark. Will Clark. It was Will Clark. Yeah.
that was Palmiero.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Oh, yeah. Palmer. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Letterman. What's next?
All right. So we're going to go dark here. Going to go dark. 1980. The Dodgers
We
called this
can't
kid
see.
up.
It's dark.
Yeah. The Dodgers, which deserve a boo. But anyway, they called this kid up, and he was absolutely dominant as a middle reliever, so much so that they went ahead and moved him into the closer position, and he was lights out for the year. Steve Howe,
Ah.
or as I used to say when the Dodgers were playing the Giants at Candlestick Park, guard the line, Steve, guard the line. Because Mr. Howe ran into some serious troubles with cocaine, and well, it's a laughing matter. It's not really a laughing matter, but it was a good heckle, I always thought. But anyway, um, Steve Howe was dominant. He was clearly on the short list of the best closers in the game. They won a World Series with him as their closer, and he made the All Star team. He was just completely dominant. And then the cocaine stuff started to sneak into the news. And I mean, I think he got 7 different times he was suspended overall.
Wow.
4 or 5 with the Dodgers, kept getting another chance and another chance. And the guy just continued to have problems with Peter Uberoth. Talked to him, got him into treatment. Um, the commissioner at the time, Peter Uberoth, and that didn't help. He was in and out of rehab stuff. He tried to sign to go over to Japan, but he before he signed to go to Japan, but before he could go, he got in trouble with cocaine again in the States, and so they nullified his contract. It was just a mess for this poor guy, and he ultimately uh, he ultimately lost his life in a car accident where he tested for methamphetamine at the end. So yeah, the guy just had demons. I mean, oh yeah, he got arrested at JFK for having a handgun. So this guy just had some demons and some problems, and he never could put it together. But by all rights and measures, from every scout you've ever heard anybody talk about Steve Howe, he was an absolute lights out Mariano Rivera type closer. That just the game was over when he came in. Period. That's it. No discussion. So that poor guy, Webby.
Okay, I got an interesting one. I'm going to get away from the drugs and alcohol guys for a minute and talk about a guy who didn't have the career he could have, for different reasons. First of all, he was playing another sport full time. And secondly, he played most of his baseball on an artificial hip. Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Um, if any of you guys got to see Bo Jackson play, and he only played from 86 to 94, took 92 off. He was an absolute stud on the field during the time that he played for the Royals. People who saw him play live, they got to see things they'd never seen on a baseball field before, like him running up the outfield wall and down the outfield wall after a catch.
Like parkour, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was there for a game where he struck out and then broke the bat over the top of his helmet as if it was a toothpick. And you're going, oh my God, that would take me months to try to do that.
Or months to recover.
Yes, yes.
3 concussions later.
Yeah. The one of the most interesting things I've ever seen is a series of at bats in a game against Charlie Huff, who's thrown the knuckleball, and Bo Jackson's never seen this knuckleball before, and he's swinging and missing, swinging and missing, swinging and missing, and you can tell he's getting more and more angry, but he's learning with every at bat. And in the fourth time up, he hasn't even fouled a pitch off yet. He just launches one off a Huff on a really good knuckleball. So he was able to learn as an athlete. He was able to learn, even though he probably didn't have the same training that most minor leaguers did. And you always wonder if he was healthy and if he devoted himself to baseball only, what would he have been? I just always wonder about that. All right.
Yeah, Nike had a great ad campaign with him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bo knows knuckleballs. No, he's Bo knows football, and then Bo knows baseball.
Yeah, I think everybody went, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So that'll bring us to 2.
All right, Marty, start us off.
I need your help with. I want your everybody. I'm not serious. I want your input with this because looking around and doing all the stats and looking around, there's a relief pitcher rather recently. Started with the Astros in '95 and last appeared for the Braves in 2010. He has more saves than the Hall of Famers Dennis Eckersley, Goose Gossage, Raleigh Fingers, and Bruce Sutter. He's only behind in saves to Hoffman, Smith, and Rivera. And just a Wikipedia printout, he was a 7-time All-Star. In 1999, he was the Rural Aids Relief Man of the Year. Bounced around for a few teams. How could Billy Wagner, with his accomplishments, and again, maybe it was because he bounced around it was Houston, Philly, the Mets, the Red Sox, and Atlanta. But the stats this guy has put up is incredible. And for the period of time he played Major League Baseball. Now, he was on, and according to the printout, he was on the voting since 2016. Getting 10, you need 75%. You got 10, then 5, and then 46, and then 2024 missed it by 5 votes, 73.8, and I think that's the end of his eligibility. Now, for the baseball writers, he can still get it.
He's on the ballot this year.
He is okay.
Yeah.
But the looking at these statistics, how's he been on the fringe for so long and not making it? So maybe this is finally his year. But The more I read about this guy, the more I'm impressed with him. Yeah, and again, as a maybe because we're West Coast fans and he was always on the other team, we didn't think that much of it. But he what an impressive resume, Billy Wagner.
Marty,
So
I think he gets in this year. In fact,
yeah, that'd be
I think three people will get in. I think Ichiro, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner will get in. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
I'm well deserved. I hope that's the case.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, so Webby, go ahead. You take number two.
All right, I got to go back to the druggy guys. Um, this
Excuse me.
guy, another guy, he played 8, 9 years in the big leagues. He had all the talent in the world and threw it away. Josh Hamilton.
Uh,
This guy was an absolute stud. In his MVP season of 2010, he had an 8.7 WAR. For those of you that don't know what a WAR is, 32 homers, 100 RBIs, a 359 batting average, a slugging percentage over 1,000, 40 doubles, 95 runs scored, a great defensive player, um, just a very tough at bat for any pitcher. He was a stud for about a 5 year period with the Rangers, but he was a drug user, um, and maybe worse yet, a denier that there was a problem. So he hid things for a long time, um, got caught, finally admitted that he was wrong, but it was almost a bit too late. He did find a couple of takers at the end of his career. The Angels signed him, and then he actually finished up with the Rangers again. But no, this guy could have been an amazing player and threw it all away. Um, and definitely was on track to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy hit 200 home runs in 8 years. So you just
wow.
wonder what could have been.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so that's my number two pick. Robbie.
All right, I'm going to go with our hometown boys here, the San Francisco Giants. In 2016, this guy showed up for the Giants, a power hitting outfielder, really displayed some power, clearly had trouble with the breaking ball. So he kind of came up and down in 2016. They sent him back to AAA and had him work on it. And he actually put a lot of time in working on the breaking pitch. It kind of reminded me of Matt Williams. He's up and down a bit, then came up for half a season in 2017, got sent back down to keep working on it. And then by the time he came back up in 2018, he was clearly going to be our dominant superstar hitter for years to come. He came out of the gate in 2018, just firing on all cylinders, crushing the ball. Mac Williamson. Mac could hit for average, he could hit for power, and he had a great throwing arm in left field. He didn't have a lot of speed, but he was solid in left field, and he had a great throwing arm. But the guy could hit. You could not get a fastball by him for nothing. He could crush the ball, and he had really worked hard to take care of that breaking pitch problem, and it was working. And then about the third week of the season in April, he was running down a foul ball in foul territory, and of course the Giants used to have those bullpens right there next to the field on the side of the field, and Mac Williamson tripped over the mound and smashed the crown of his head directly into the wall, giving him a severe concussion. And that was it. Essentially, that was the end of Mac Williamson's career right there. When they had finally gotten him into the to being the perfect player and the guy that they really needed in that lineup, he went down with that injury. He tried to come back. He tried to come back with the Mariners and the Nationals and even in the Korean Baseball League, but he still, even to this day, suffers from after effects of that concussion. So
Wow.
that was a tough one. That was a guy that did
Mm.
everything right and was going to be a a building block for the team for years to come. So Mac Williamson.
Mm. Mm.
So Terry,
All right. I
you
had
have
to.
flashcards?
I have to wiggle. I have a flash computer here. I had to move somebody around. This player is very familiar with the Giants. He won 2 World Series with us, and absolutely killed his career just by opening his mouth. We're talking about Aubrey Huff.
Mm.
Uh, he criticized people who wore masks during COVID. Uh, Not only did he just say things like, masks are stupid, don't wear them. He would go on and on about it, and he also disgraced the Giants. Aubrey Huff was a hero for San Francisco following the 2010 season. He was one of the team's best position players in their run to the first World Series victory in Giants history. Yet, rather than enjoying the spoils of his athletic career, he's decided to spend his post-playing days devolving into whatever this is. He decided to get into a social media fight with a woman online. Well, here's one of his quotes. I can't paraphrase it. It's just so he's just a runneth of the mouth kind of guy. He said, "Oh, sorry."
You already got one. You already got one red card tonight.
Yeah, I
We'll be
know.
we'll be back after this word from our sponsor.
Well, he got suspended from Twitter. How do you do that, for one? He got in a fight with this woman. All right. Sorry, I highlighted it and then I touched my mouse and it disappeared.
Oh God, that's what happens to these new computer users. Yeah.
Yeah. Us boomers, we have a little bit of a problem.
Well,
Divorce rates amongst athletes will continue to rise until the justice system is rightfully fixed. No way women who have never thrown a touchdown pass, hit a game-winning three, or hit a 2-0 slider to deserve half of a man's hard-earned money just for having his babies. Oh, that was to his
Wow.
ex-wife, about his ex-wife.
He sounds like quite the catch.
Yeah. Anyway,
oh brother.
he really just dug himself a deep grave. Anyway, Aubrey Huff, I'm kind of embarrassed to root that I rooted for him.
I don't
He's-
think Aubrey Huff could have ever sniffed the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a pretty mediocre career. So
Yeah, but our topic is guys who screwed it up, who screwed up and just put their whole lives just went up in flames. I agree. He's not the greatest player, but I had to mention him. And don't be a douche.
Terry's theme is clearly defined. Well, I guess that's the round two, huh?
yeah.
So that brings us to a part of the show that I like to call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We love Mic'd Up. They've been great to us. They continue to allow us to do this. I don't even know what this is anymore, but they continue to allow us to do it. So it's time for Rob Weber here to go through and let you know about some of the other shows that are also available here on the Mic'd Up app.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, no. Please sit down.
Yeah.
Um,
Hold your applause.
so yes, you are watching us on the Mic'd Up app. We love to interact with our audience. So if you're watching us live, there's a little microphone at the bottom of the screen. Just tap on that. You got 30 seconds to leave us a question or a comment about our topic of the evening.
What happens if 30 seconds isn't long enough?
Well, then you do what JC does and you leave us 5 messages. um, I'm told very soon you'll be able to leave messages longer than 30 seconds.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's a
Good.
plus. So we will play your message on the air if we like it. So um, please leave us a comment, question or comment. It's always more fun when you participate.
What's good about that is you can listen to your own 30-second clip, and if you don't like it, just re-record over it so you get it all in. Sometimes you
Right.
get right to the last, who you're going to name, and you get cut off. So listen to it and redo it and get it in. It's
Yeah,
Like
it's really
watch the
fun, actually.
screen. There's a countdown.
There's a little countdown, and we'll we'll be able to hear you get faster and faster in the last 10
Mhm.
seconds.
So we are a proof of concept show on the network. Mic'd Up is trying to sell into professional and collegiate and amateur sports teams and organizations. So this is what they show those people. I don't know. That I get is that a selling point? I don't know. But there are other more professional shows on the network that you can watch. We have
But
Mr. AJ Rovner, who has taken the Mic'd Up Network by storm. He's got uh, uh, New York-based shows about the Knicks, about the Rangers, about the Mets, and about his beloved, terrible New York Giants. You can look for AJ to have 2 or 3 shows a week. In fact, we've just posted a show. AJ will be doing a show tomorrow about the
wow.
New York Rangers and the fact that they are playing much better lately and are in the playoff hunt. So look for AJ's show on tomorrow's docket. Um, Aaron Thigpen and Eric Johnson have a show called Ask Aaron and EJ. Um, Aaron is a former Olympic sprinter. Eric is a former San Francisco Giant. They are heavily involved in youth and collegiate sports and motivation for those sports. What training methods are required, what legal aspects are required in the sports, and they've got a show coming up on Friday morning talking about training and what's important. Are you just going through the motions, or are you actually being productive? So take a look for their show, Ask Aaron and EJ. John Rieger and the Florida Sports Hall of Fame show will be coming back very soon. John is based out on the East Coast and has a show which highlights the members of the Florida Sports Hall of Fame, including Fred Biletnikoff, and Wade Boggs, and Jan Stevenson. It's an interview-based show where he has them as guests, and they talk about what Florida meant to them, whether that be collegiately or professionally, and how it's advanced their careers. Craig Giannino has a show about the elite mindsets of sports. He's had some interesting guests on a few times that talk about how to get prepared to play professionally or collegiately and be at your best. What your mindset needs to be, how you need to push towards positivity as opposed to negativity. And Craig's guests are great. They're all across the realm of sports. So he's got a show coming up on the 21st. Look for that. Let's see. Chris Hull, Dave Johnson, they are hosting a show every Saturday on the network about the English Premier League in soccer.
Oh.
Um, they are talking about what has become a very important part of North American soccer interest, the English Premier League. Um, there's lots of fans here, and this show is kind of directed towards the North American fans of the EPL. Um, so if you've got any questions, They've got a show coming up on the 25th. They're going to try to do every Saturday. Chris is a longtime announcer with Sky Sports in the UK, and Dave is a former announcer for DC United, and he also announces for the Washington Wizards in the NBA. And finally, we have our friends at Yankees Coast to Coast. Mike Miller and Adam Schneider, our friends who are Yankees fans. They have a regular Thursday show where they talk everything Yankees. They've had some of their friends from fantasy camp on the last couple of weeks, and they're desperately trying to convince themselves that the Yankees are going to win the next World Series. They might be right. Who knows? I don't know. But each week there's 2 to 4 people on that show that agree with each other but argue incessantly. So you need to watch it. It's a great comedic outlet. So please watch Yankees Coast to Coast. All right, I'm done.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All righty. You finished up, didn't you?
I was last.
Okay. Pick somebody to
Uh,
take us home in the final round.
All right. Hey, Marty. What's your number one?
I'm gonna let you guys guess it. It should be obvious to all the times I've talked about this guy over the years and on our show and how he got screwed, and he's one of the best natural hitters in all of baseball. And he's not in the Hall of. He had the Hall of Fame talent all over the place, and he's not in there.
Let's see. Ruben Sierra.
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Oh, I was going to say Billy. I was going to say Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Oh, I was going to say Rabbit Moranville.
Well, you got the shoe part
He's
right
in.
anyway.
Imagine that. Rabbit Moranville's in and Shoeless Joe is not.
Yeah, how about that?
Same era.
How about that? In 1999, they did the MLB's 100 greatest baseball players of the century, and he was. I think he got. He was ripped. He should have been higher, but he was not. He was 35th. Baseball players of the century. His career batting average was 354 in the dead ball era. In his rookie year, the batting average was 408. That didn't win the title. The Ty Cobb had 419. But he did lead the league as a rookie in the American League in hits, triples, and stolen bases. His problem was not alcohol. His problem was not cocaine. His problem was not drugs. I'm not even sure they proved that his problem was gambling. But he got caught. But here's another guy just got caught up in it. Everybody's has seen 8 Men Out. There were reports that he did admit to the court in preliminary investigations about taking some money, but no, those are all. That's now been disputed, and the man was banned for life, but he's been dead for over 60 years, and his legacy is still as powerful as ever. And if you want to ban him for life, fine. His life is over. Put him in the hall. Mr. Weber, take it.
All right. I've got a fun one, guys. This guy never played in the big leagues. Never.
And he's Hall of Fame material, huh?
Yes.
He
I
blew up his career.
I think
Okay.
he could have been a Hall of Famer because many people believe he's the hardest thrower in the history of baseball.
I know where you're going.
going with this.
Yep.
I'm going to read you this guy's stats for 1957 and 1958. in the minor leagues. His name is Steve Dalkowski. Look him up. Dalkowski. He was an Orioles farmhand for most of his career. In 1957, at the age of 18 years old, I'm not making these stats up. I'm just telling you what it says. He pitched 62 innings for Kingsport in the Appalachian League. In 62 innings, he gave up 22 hits.
Wow.
Yeah. He struck out 121 batters in 62 innings and walked 129 batters in the same 62 innings.
Yeah, don't dig in, don't swing.
He threw 39 wild pitches, finished the season 1-8 with an ERA of 8.13. The next year, this is back when there were A, B, C, and D leagues in minors. Steve played in 3 different leagues, the A, the B, and the C leagues. So he started at C and moved his way up. He threw 104 innings. He gave up 46 hits. He struck out 203 guys in 104 innings and walked 207 guys in 104 innings. He finished up 4-10, and his ERA was slightly better at 7.93.
That's called improvement.
So he played in the minors from 1957 through 1965. His last year in the minors happened to be in San Jose. He was desperately trying to get better. He did reach AAA a couple times. He's known for, in a game in Bakersfield, having thrown a fastball through the wooden backstop.
Oh man.
It exploded through the backstop and went through. You never knew where the ball was going. In later years, people that talked to him, he was a raging alcoholic. Just really, really struggled with the bottle and could never get it together. But they didn't have the same methods for measuring a fastball, but some predicted he threw between 106 and 110 miles per hour.
Damn.
Out of control.
And sadly, this guy, as did many people during COVID, he was in a nursing home with dementia when the COVID hit. And as with many people, it was hard to, in a nursing home, get people to stay away from each other and wear masks and things like that. So Steve got the COVID virus and died in 2020 in a nursing home. Not, he had been diagnosed with dementia 5 to 6 years before that. But what could have been? He had 1,324 strikeouts in his minor league career in 950 innings. 1,236 walks.
Unbelievable.
How many
It's
hit batsmen?
absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Did you do the math on how many hit batsmen?
Let's see. They only list 37. I'm guessing there's more than that.
And
But
how long did the bruise last?
Exactly.
Do you remember the Gus Triandos? He was the catcher for the Orioles and would catch him in spring training. Gus Triandos would say, "I don't need a glove, I need a shield."
So I'm saying, what could have been if he could have harnessed his control?
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys basically could not hit him. He gave up gave up 664 hits in over 950 innings. So it could have been what could have been. You know? In fact, he gave up more runs than he did hits.
Hmm.
That's amazing.
The only thing that I can envision in my mind is everybody coming up just like John Kruk did in the All-Star game against Randy Johnson. It's like, shit with this noise.
All right, Tara, what do you got?
Hang on, before you go to Terry, Teddy Bear sent in a timely quote that I missed.
Okay.
I thought Marty was going to say Jeff Jones.
All right, Terry.
Yeah, if you don't know who Jeff Jones is, he's a guest host
Yeah.
on our show. Okay, this is pretty obvious. I'm talking about the Hit King. He is not in the Hall of Fame because he was permanently banned from Major League Baseball in 1989. This ban prevents him from appearing on the Hall of Fame ballot. Pete Rose had unbelievable hits. He's a great player. It just made. Well, in 1989, Rose was found to have bet on baseball games, including those of his own team, and that got him banned from baseball.
Yep.
That's a tragic story because that is somebody who was great and blew up his career. Pete Rose.
To this day, I truly believe if he just confessed it up and asked for forgiveness, he'd be in the Hall right now.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
it was continued denying and
Oh, yeah,
being
he lied
aversive.
from-
And
he-
yeah. So,
He
yeah.
lied from the very beginning, wrote a book and lied in the book, and
Yep.
he did
There's
kind
a
of come clean.
there's a great documentary on HBO that came out and it was released just days before he passed away. That it's called Charlie Hustle, and the documentarian gives him at least 37 times. I think the documentarian's vision was to make this a make it right with the world so you can get in the Hall of Fame documentary. And Pete Rose cannot get out of his own way. And
Wow.
Oh, he
So,
gave
I
him
mean-
37 times to apologize.
yeah, I mean it's there. It's just waiting on the table for him to come out and show contrition, and it never happens. It's stunning. It's a really great documentary, and you can see it every time. You can see it coming, and he just cannot. He could not do it, and
You,
that's a good call, Terry. All the
You'll-
talent, but
you lie
something
enough,
cost him.
you lie enough, you believe your own lie.
Yep.
Anybody else? That's
I think
it,
that's
yeah?
me, right?
Oh, Robbie.
All right, I'm going to go back with my close out with my 1 year wonders again. This guy, he's from Santa Clara, California, and tore it up in high school. Was drafted, went into the minor leagues, tore it up in the minor leagues. He hit 352 in Double A, he hit like 370 in Single A. He was supposed to in 1980 go to Triple A, but then the big club's best hitter got injured in spring training. So he took over, and that is Go Joe Charbonneau.
Oh, yes.
Super Joe.
Yep, Go Joe Charbonneau. It's funny, in spring training that year, they played an exhibition game in Mexico, and he got stabbed by a fan. That the knife went in 4 inches and it hit a rib. Like, so they caught the guy, and he was arrested, and he was fined 50 pesos. And Joe Charbonneau goes, "What? A stabbing was worth $2.27? Because I got lots of guys. I could
Yeah.
do that." But he became a fan favorite because he was colorful, he was funny. He way before Dennis Rodman, he was dyeing his hair different colors all the time. He used to drink beer through his nose. He'd go to the fan bars in Cleveland after games and hang out with fans. He did his own dental work, and he fixed a broken nose with a pair of pliers and a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Wow.
But he
Hey,
could flat out hit.
Hey,
Wow.
he couldn't
That's-
he isn't he one of those guys that opened up beer bottles on his forearm?
Oh yeah, he was doing all that stuff. All that. But
that
he
sounds like the Hall of Fame career of Marty.
yeah, exactly. He hit 289. He had 23 homers, 87 RBIs. Became the first Indian in like 20 years to win Rookie of the Year. And it's another guy. He was going to be the stalwart. Came out in spring training the next year, and it was hitting like 600 in spring training the first couple of weeks. Did a head first slide into second base, jammed his back. His career was over.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he tried a couple of times to come back, but there was no. It just wasn't happening. The back injury was so severe he could never recover from it. But he was colorful. The fans loved him. He was like a cover of Sports Illustrated guy, and This Week in Baseball loved to put him on because he was funny and engaging. And but the fact that the guy could flat out hit, they used to say even his outs were loud. So go Joe Charbonneau. I think that guy probably would have done a lot in Major League Baseball, but one little injury and that ended the whole thing. So,
one little stabbing.
and
Boy.
23 home runs in that giant municipal stadium in Cleveland that he had to play in, that's pretty damn impressive. So there you go. That's my number one. I think that wraps it up.
Yeah.
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 I know we got a handful of callers. One very special call in. I feel like we're on like the ABC after school special. A very special call in.
Hello, this is Joel Youngblood, former Major League Baseball player. And thinking about the people that I know that I was good friends with that potentially could be in the Hall of Fame, Bill Buckner. He was a great player, amazing hitter. Bill Buckner should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
I think with Buckner, the two things working against him were he was so hobbled from all those injuries. It was like watching your grandpa run the bases.
Yep.
And then, you make that
One play.
play in the World Series where the ball goes between your legs, and people don't want to associate a terrible play like that with a Hall of Famer. So I think that probably cut down on his votes.
Yep.
Yeah.
JC chimed in with a comment about Steve Dalkowski.
Sounds like Nuke LaLoosh.
Well, I mean, if you go back and read the story about Nuke LaLoosh and how he was portrayed in the movie, the model for him is Steve Dalkowski.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And then I missed the what you drinking from JC.
Originally, I was going to do a crossover with What You Drinking, and one of my almost made it, but things got in the way. I was going to do a Strawberry Nova with Daryl Strawberry, and I couldn't get out to get the Strawberry Nova. So, cheers, boys! I'm having a hugs.
Cheers.
Good
Cheers,
stuff.
JC.
When in Milwaukee, make sure you stop by Broken Bat Brewing,
Oh,
where they
that's
have a
right.
strawberry sour, and they have a picture of Daryl Strawberry looking very upset on the can.
Go in the back room.
JC with more on Daryl Strawberry. 289 batting average, 355 home runs. His shoulder and his addiction problems really killed his career, and so he didn't have a chance at the Hall of Fame, even though he's in the Mets Hall of Fame. My number 4 would be Dwight Doc Gooden. He has a Cy Young Rookie of the Year, but heavy drug user, and he had some injuries which made his career shortened and inconsistent.
Agreed.
So he hasn't gotten in, and he won't get in.
Yeah. Doc and Dwight. Doc and Daryl were partners in crime.
Yep.
JC, I seem to be concentrating on New York Mets. So Keith Hernandez would be my number 3. 17 seasons, 2 world championships, 5 All-Star games, 11 Gold Gloves, 2 Silver Sluggers, 298 batting average. Seems he should be in, but he got sideways with the writers apparently and never got enough votes. My number 2 would be Tim Lincecum.
Yeah,
Great
call.
pitcher, 2 Cy Youngs. I don't understand why he's not in, but he did get sideways with the public a little bit over his marijuana stuff, and I guess the baseball writers didn't like him either. Tim Lincecum, number 2.
But it's legal in California.
Yeah. I just don't think his career was long enough.
Yep.
JC with number 1. My number 1, you've heard about before. He was the fastest Oriole, but he flipped the spread on Earl Weaver when he got sent down to the minors and never got called back up again. He had all the tools, hit home runs, could steal bases. Drungo Hazelwood, number 1.
Well, I have an honorable mention that I just want to say, just to see the look on Terry's face. Okay, if you're talking about pure talent, Yasiel Puig had all the tools of a tremendous athlete and the mind of a 4-year-old.
Yeah, his ego got in the way of his play. Ah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have just ruined Terry's evening.
No, I have him. I have him on my list, kind of low, but he was on there. My theme today is "Don't be a douche," and
We have any other honorable mentions?
I do. Well, here's one that was kind of taken away from somebody. Red Sox. No, Angels player Tony Conigliaro gets hit in the head.
Yeah.
And his career is basically over after trying to recover from it.
Yep.
It took him a year and a half to get for that black eye to go away. That's too bad.
In researching the Joe Jackson, I mentioned he was a finalist for Major League Baseball's All-Century team, which was done by a popular vote back in 1999. There are 2 people that made that team that aren't in the Hall of Fame for a lot of the reasons we were talking. We picked Pete Rose, but who are the other 2? Roger Clemens and Mark McGuire.
Oh yeah.
So,
Mhm.
McGuire,
there's
man.
2 honorable mentions right there. Yeah.
I
McGuire really did it to himself.
had Lastings Millage, who played for the Mets, and
wait a minute. What were you drinking again? What were you drinking?
Lastings Millage played for the Mets, and he had all 5 tools. He could hit for power, run. The guy was a nutcase. Remember, he's the guy against the Giants, hit a home run, and then on his way back out to the field, started high-fiving fans. Just running down and high-fiving people as he's running out to right field. He was a lunatic. But he had a bunch of talent, but he couldn't get out of his own way. Niger Morgan is same guy. Niger Morgan is the same thing, only he had a temper. But Niger Morgan, one of his teammates, said that he had Hall of Fame talent, but no ability. Yep. Those are my guys. Rob?
Yeah, we're done. We've gone through my list twice.
Well, I guess in that case, we'll close up this extra long, super special episode of Highlights from Lowlifes. Once again, we are sponsored by our good friends at Almanac Brewing. Make sure you stop by the brewery, visit them in Almanac. They really are one of America's greatest craft brewers. And we look forward to seeing you next week when we have another topic that we will take and run into the ground. So we'll see you then.
Is this episode 70?
Thank you, folks.
Oh, brother.
Highlights from Lowlifes.
and I hope the Shanks date night went well.